Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Tung. Today, we're going to learn how to verify functionalities in a table view controller implementation using unit tests. You might wondering why don't we use UI testing instead? Well, it turns out has a couple of reasons why I prefer UI tests over UI tests in this video. The first reason is because I want to show you some techniques that can help you test functionalities using unit tests. The second reason is because the scope of this video will cover the correctness in terms of data, not the view layout. And the third reason is about feedback loop. The fact is unit test gives us feedbacks much more faster than UI tests, and it's more important than it sounds, because during our development process, we don't want to wait so long for something to happen. We always want the development cycle to be as smooth as possible, right? With those reasons, now we can head it to the today project, okay? I have the starting project here with me. You can also download it from the link in the description. So what I have set up here is very straightforward, so let's explore it real quick. We have a table view controller that fetches some data from API and then updates the table view with the response data. Notice here the API service is a singleton which contains only one function, and it is function, and in this function I just simply complete it with some fake data. But in real project you might need to fetch some data model from API endpoint. And as you can see, the project doesn't have any tests. Okay, let's run the app for the first time. And everything is as we expected. Now we try to write some tests to verify functionalities of this view controller. If you think this project is too simple and there's no need to write tests, and you can make sure it will work just by your experience. So remember, covering software means covering it with tests. With a good set of tests, make us confident to do whatever we want, regardless adding new features or refactoring. Alright, too much talking. Let's create a new unit test class. And then get rid all of this because we don't need it. So the first functionality I want to test is when the view did load, this table view controller will call loadFeed function from the API service class. So the test name could be test view did load request data from API. So what we want to assert is something like mock API service, because in unit test we never want to touch to the real network connection. Dot request code equal to 1. Then I want to create a mock service, and of course in order to access to the production code we need to import the production module. Unfortunately, we can't instantiate API service because it is a singleton, so that's problem with singleton, and that's why we should avoid them in most cases. But we're trying to test a legacy code base, so I don't want to change its implementation, so we need to find a way to able to do it. So what I'm gonna do is to remove this private init function so that allow API service to be instantiated. The next step, I want to create the mock API service class inherit from API service and override the load function. By doing that, we now can replace the production code with the test code. Now we can use request code count to verify if the loadFeed function will be called or not, and how many times it will be called. And the last step, instead of using the shared instance directly, by apply dependency injection, we are able to inject any API service instance And by doing that, the table view controller will use whatever we give to it. And now we can create the system under test, which is the table view controller, and then inject the mock object. And don't forget to call the load view if needed. Alright, the setup is done. Let's run our first test. The test fails because we didn't increase the count variable when the load field was called. Now let's do it and run the test again. Awesome, the test now passed. Let's try to comment out the production code to check if the test really worked and run the test. Amazing, the test failed again. So let's run back the production code and run the test again. So far so good. Now we can move on to the next functionalities. I want to verify the number of rows rendered, so let's set up the test. The test name could be when the load view complete, the view controller will render cells. And we can copy the setup in the previous test. So now we need to tell the API service to complete with a list of celebrities. So let's simulate that. Here we can create a helper function to handle the completion handler in the load fit function. Now what we want to assert is the number of rows in session will equal to 2. Okay, let's run the test. Similar to the previous test, let's try to set 0 to the production code to see if the test really works. After that, don't forget to run back the production code. Before move on to the next functionality, I want to refactor the test setup. We can move it to the setup and tear down method. Let's run the test again. Very similar. Let's remove the duplication code in the second test and run the test again. And now we move on to the last function, but this time we'll comment out the production code first and just return the default UITableView cell. Try to run the test again. Surprisingly, the test still passed. That means we're missing a test for it. So let's write the next test. The test name could be when the load view complete renders correct cell type. Copy the setup from the last test. Then get the cell from the table view. And we need to assert the cell type should be the feed text cell, not the default UITableView cell. Run the test and it fails as we expected. We can give it an extra context by adding a comment to the assertion. Now we can uncomment the line 32 in the production code to make the test pass. Let's run the test. And the test now passed. Last but not least, we will write assertions to test the cell's content. Run the test. and of course it fails. Now we can uncomment the rest production code and run the test again. And this time we see the green color. Alright, we are done verify functionalities of the table view controller, but it would be nice if we have some helper functions to make the test code a little bit cleaner. The first function helps us get the number of rows in a given section. And the second function helps us get the cell at the given index path. Replace the helper functions to the test code and run the test for the last time. Perfect, all the tests still pass. Alright, it's time to wrap up this video. I've shown you how to deal with Singleton and how to test functionalities in a table view controller. I hope you've learned something from it. So please share and hit the like button if you like this video. See you next time.